but yeah, but so just kind of get together with them, and I don't know what we're gonna do, but just kind of hang out. And if we're all vaccinated, there'll probably be a lot of hugging. Just gonna say it, there's gonna be hugging. I
Yeah.
actually have a gift for Kyle that I meant to bring to him at Home Dad Con last
Oh
year,
man, that's a
but COVID
postponed
stopped
gift.
it. So yeah, it's so okay, it's a Claymore.
What? Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock.
My name is Danny.
And we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
A Claymore?
Yeah, the Scottish
The
Claymore
Scottish
cuts a cow in half. Yeah.
You were gonna bring that to Home Dad Con?
Well, I wasn't gonna like walk around in the hotel with it, but yeah, I was gonna because
He
I'm driving
would.
up. I was
He'd, like,
driving
put it
up.
on his
And,
shoulder
well,
and
he can
walk
do whatever he wants, man. He can get away with it. Look at him. I mean, the guy's all balls. I'm sorry, he's all testicles. He's just testicles with a beard or with a likes to drink beer but yeah. So I have a few swords.
Okay.
A few, and
Okay.
every once in a while I get to meet somebody, and I'm kind of a move with my heart kind of guy. And when I met Kyle finally, because we talked previously and we both been on podcasts together or with the same podcast on different times, and I was really looking forward to meeting him and a couple of the other guys, and we just hit it off. And like with a lot of the guys, and I thought it would be like a very rare thing, but with most of the guys even that I've met so far, it's kind of like we went to school together.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, yeah, I know you. Come on. And Kyle is, I mean, him. He's just very gregarious, and he's very open, and he's very, genuine. And he's very helpful, and he's there for you. And he's the kind of guy that you just know would be fine with whatever might happen, and he'd be there to help you if you had a, flat tire or whatever. But anyway, so I get home, and him and I were talking in chat or something, in texting or something like that. And I just kind of looked up at the Claymore. I've got it hanging, and I went, I'm going to give that to Kyle. And so I kind of send him a message and say, okay, weird question. How do you feel about swords? And of course, weird question. He was like, fine, I guess. I'm like, well, do you own any? And I think he said, no, I don't think he does. And I'm like, well, I just want you to know, I've got a gift for you at Home Dad Con, and so, and again, but we skipped it. So now when I'm going up, I'm going to pack it in the back of the Suburban in a bunch of cardboard. So it doesn't I'm not going to stick it in the seat beside me or anything, but yeah, going to take it up to him. And
it's not made of glass, right? It doesn't have brandy in it. Okay.
Oh no. It's a actual, well, it's not like, it's more of a wall hanger. I definitely wouldn't like take it to war, but it would definitely go through a car door.
Oh, I was hoping just hoping it was maybe like that TikTok video that I made where the woman like pulls the sword made out of glass that's full with brandy in it. I'm like, what? Like, I need that sword. So yeah. But no, you're talking about like, the feeling like you've, went to high school with that. Like, I feel like that's a relationship you and I have. I feel like that's a relationship that I have with like Joe Saladino, that I have with Charlie O'Hara, a bunch of guys. It's just like the connection, you meet them at Home Dad Con after talking with them and chatting with them online, and you're just like, it's a whole new world, which always just drives, I don't know if it drives your wife nuts, but sometimes my wife's like, you talk about these guys all the time. And sometimes like if they have the same name, then it's like, which one?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've meet too many people named John. That's the big one. I have to go, well, okay, so that's Canada John, and that's Brother John, and that's New York John, and that's Convention John. And it's like, what? And even like, and my best friend actually is named John, and my wife's brother is named John. And it's all like, I can't help it. I didn't pick their names. Come on.
Oh man.
But yeah, I don't think it's funny. I will say, I could say that every dad that I've met, I feel like I could have gone to school with them. I don't want to say that I would have, that we would have been friends in school. There are a few dads that I'm sure there are dads that don't like me. But I know there are dads that just kind of rub me the wrong way, or they think a different thing, or we just don't get along, and it is what it is. But even those guys still, and I'm saying this from my end, I don't know how people would, if they don't like me, they may not ever want to talk to me or whatever, but I can still enjoy the evening when they're there. And if we were just sitting and talking, just the two of us, even though we don't really, jive, there's a difference in whatever it is, whatever reason it is, they're quiet and I'm loud or whatever. They're still in the trenches. They're still part of the tribe.
Definitely.
They're still the brotherhood of fatherhood. And I really find that that's probably the most beneficial thing about the National At Home Dad Network and about Home Dad Con. And we talk about Home Dad Con every week. And I'm kind of like, I wanted to try not to, but how can I stop?
You can't.
You can't.
There's no way. And I'm not saying like you as in like you can't, but it's just like it's well, too, we're only months away from it, but regardless, like there's just so much that goes on and there's so many connections made. It's hard not to talk about it. So so when you go up to Wisconsin, I mean, are you guys looking for a house while you're up there, or have you already got that figured out?
We're, that's still up in the air. We'll see. Marnie, my wife's got, she's in for a different job with her company. She's got, interviews in other places, I don't know what she's doing. Maybe I shouldn't say on a podcast actually what she's doing.
I probably wouldn't do that.
But I know that she's looking, and she really wants to stay with Kimberly Clark that she's with now, because it's a great company.
Yeah.
And they do have a position that she's looking at and hoping she can get to, and then we'll see. But we're almost 100% set in the areas that we're going to be in, which are basically about 4 hours east of Minneapolis. So we're not going to go look for a car in July. We're going to go and spend time with her family. We're going to go, I think we're going to go to the zoo. We're going to eat a lot. That's going to be a lot of things. There's going to be at least one campfire with s'mores. I know that.
Yeah.
Even in the middle of summer, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, just going to have that kind of thing. And really the trip itself is going to be kind of pushing it. I'm not going to try, I must get every 3 hours before we get a stop or anything like that, because I've got 4 kids, there's no, even if they went to the bathroom 5 minutes, they could go and, right now, Dad, no, really, I have to go again. Okay. It is what it is. But we're looking to kind of not really stop and make a lot of sightseeing, but kind of maybe roll by. We're looking to see what's on the way, kind of like the world's largest ball of twine. Well, look at that. It's
the Cincinnati Zoo with the with Fiona the hippo, or you got to go see the Hall of Justice, the Cincinnati Museum Center.
It's tempting, let me tell you, but we got to see where we're going to end up.
I mean, you're going to be coming right up 75, I bet.
Probably, yeah.
And you're going to see the Hall of Justice from 75. Like, you can't miss it. You look out the left side of the car. So I mean, when you're driving up there,
epic,
and go a little bit further, and you can get off and go to the zoo. So
well, we'll see. I don't want to take too long. I want to kind of try to make it in 2 days if we can. One hotel trip, and we do what we do, but we'll see. Again, we're not really, it's horrible, but we're not really set in stone until probably not until June 15th or so. Will we just have 100%? This is how we're doing it. There's just a couple of things in play, how it is, but it'll be our first big road trip that all the kids should remember, which is great. We have done some wonderful, I was like, maybe, let's see, 6 years ago, I would say, we went out to the coast, went out to the Atlantic, and there was a pirate ship named the Andalusia. Ooh. And it is an actual made in the, I don't remember, 1800s or whatever it was, that was used in the series Black Sails, if you're into pirates and such.
Ooh.
And
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, that ship is the Andalusia, and they were taking it down the coast, all the way down the coast. I'm like, we've got to go. We're taking a day off school. And we're going to go see this ship. And it's only 6 hours or so to the coast. So we went out, saw it, had an amazing day, walked in it, watched a little video of the history of it, picked up a cannonball, and just so much stuff. And none of them remember a thing. Yeah. They don't remember a thing, nothing. And I'm like, you were 6, 8 years old. How do you not, and I only had 3 kids. So the youngest was still in diapers, but this was amazing. I went through all this effort to show you this. You'll never get a chance to see a pirate ship again. And it was,
well, that's like that's like, I was listening to a podcast, the Dad Time Out show, and they were talking to James Breakwell, and they were talking about going on trips to, I think he said that they went to the Grand Canyon, the one of the hosts, MK, took his kids and they went to the Grand Canyon for spring break, and they were just not happy to be there and at all. Like, he's like, it's the Grand Canyon. Like, how are you not like impressed? And the kids are like, whatever. And he's like, fine. He's like, we'll go get ice cream.
Yeah, right. We could have done that at home.
And it's like they don't remember anything other than going and getting ice cream and going to the gift store. And he's just like, are you kidding me?
Awful.
So, yeah.
It's like the giant, the Thanksgiving meals that you make and your kids just eat a roll. Like, what? No, I made a salad and a casserole and the green and the mashed potato and the turkey. And can I have another roll, Dad? Sure.
See, that's why when I make that kind of stuff, it's just for me and my wife, and the kids eat whatever, and I don't care. But yeah, I hear you there. Well, you were talking about ships too. I'm hoping that there's the World War II ship that a bunch of Navy veterans purchased. Like, they all came together, and through like a nonprofit, they were able to basically purchase this like decommissioned naval ship. They have it on the Ohio River. It's actually stationed in Evansville, Indiana, and they run it up the Ohio to like Pittsburgh. So it comes through here every once in a while. And a few years ago, I got to actually go on it. And so it was me and my sister-in-law, who's also a Navy veteran. And it was cool to just like run along these old salty dogs, man, and just like talk to them. And they, it was funny because one of the guys on the ship actually he lived in the town where my in-laws live. So we walk in there, and my mother-in-law immediately like recognizes this guy. And then we end up getting like this like private tour of the ship because of it, which was awesome. But I'm hoping that they're coming through around Home DadCon. That's last year. They were scheduled to come through. I think it was going to be like on Thursday of Home DadCon. So it was like, we could have set up cameras and like snapped these shots of it, like coming by Cincinnati with like the skyline. I'm hoping that it's going to happen this year. I got to get in contact with them, but I love that kind of stuff. You get to see those big ships like that. So that's definitely a fun thing for the summer. So we'll see. Speaking of the summer, we were talking earlier through text message about different goals we have for our kids and our family as far as things that are coming up, and aside from the road trips, there's so many other things to fill our time. And just dads in general. And I know you were like, hey, I don't know if you do I don't know if you guys set summer goals or whatever. And we do, but not in like a, hey, like, let's write them down kind of thing. It's like the first time I've actually I was like, all right, I'll just put this down and do some notes or whatever. But I think that for our listeners, it's good for them to maybe hear the fact that, set a few goals for each of your kids that you want to, that you want to accomplish, because that way it's not just a, hey, I'd really like to do this, or I'd like my kid to learn this thing, but you actually are being like, this is like the focus. This is what we're going towards. And so I want to share what we've got. And so why don't you start first? What are some of the things that you're looking to do with your kids this summer?
Well, let me say first too, that for anybody that's listening, I'm not a huge goal setter. I don't put down goals for everything every time, but I generally do it seasonal. And I don't mean like spring, summer, fall, but the summer season and school seasons. And summer's a big opportunity for the kids to do anything or nothing. And so when it's a time like that, we stay on a kind of a schedule. It's much more loose than it was, but we're definitely, we have a little bit of schooling time. We're all trying to learn German. So we're all going to do cool. Duolingo basically together and see if we can do it. It's awful doing it with a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. They just like, I'm like, I can't hear what they're saying because you keep screaming out words. Would you just stop? But what I want is that experience, because my wife loves German, loves the language, and just has a deep, abiding enjoyment of it. And it's such an amazing language because of some of the words that are so very similar, and some of the words are like, "What are you doing? Why are you yelling at me? Stop it!" So
I'm hearing a couple's trip to Germany.
Eventually, we're also going to go to Prague. Just so you know, that's.
Hey, I'll go to Prague.
So that's eventually, But so when I set goals for the kids, it's generally things that is just for them specifically, and it's more kind of almost milestone things. Because like for Elizabeth, my youngest, she's 6, and I want her this summer to learn to swim without a life vest. She should be able to do it no problem but it's been over a year, really. I mean, we hardly swam at all last year because of COVID, everything being closed. It was just like,
how are you planning on doing that? Are you going to take her to the YMCA or some local swimming?
It depends on where we end up living. And so, but probably the YMCA. If we were to stay here, now she already knows how to swim pretty good. She knows how to do the things, but she just doesn't have that level of buoyancy. She doesn't know how to tread water. She doesn't really know how to stay up as much as she could. And so it's just better, especially honestly, having 4 kids. I kind of want them all in life jackets because I just, that way I don't have to turn around and look, so probably the YMCA for her. But we'll see if we're in Wisconsin. I'm sure they have a YMCA. We'll just have to find it and see how the pool is, just a matter of putting her in the water and getting her used to it. And honestly, probably going to be at a lake or something, or not the YMCA, because they require them a lot of times to be in a life jacket. But I want to get her, it's a simple thing. It's nothing, learning to swim without a life jacket is a little thing. My 8-year-old, I want him to learn how to ride a bike. We have a gravel driveway, and he's watched his 2 older siblings wreck themselves and scratch their knees and elbows up on our gravel driveway because it's not very forgiving. He's just never wanted to do it. And he'll do it on like the big wheel or something like that, but he doesn't want to get on a bike. And by the time, 8 years old, you should know how to ride a bike. Come on, buddy. But it's just, he's been putting it off, and it hasn't been a fight, hadn't been a hill worth dying on, let's say. He can learn it when he's 9. He can learn it when he's 10. It doesn't matter. For my 11-year-old, let me think. So for him, and this is an unnecessary thing, but it's something that my wife and I feel very strongly about. We're going to help him learn to write in cursive. So
great.
He's never been able to write well. It's been very difficult for him. It's hurt his hand. He doesn't have the dexterity. He can type so fast that I don't even know how he just put on the keyboard and he's done. He doesn't need to learn cursive now. Nobody needs really to learn cursive. Even handwriting is kind of going the way. Everybody types everything, it's just what it is.
Right.
But I want all my kids to have that, just to have it in there, and I told,
you're making me feel old, man. I'm just like looking around here. I've got all these notes and handwritten.
No, man.
No, here on my desk.
I've got a notepad. I've got a notepad right beside me. It's the easiest way for me. But realistically, the technology is there constantly to type. Yeah. Your thumbs are faster than the pen. And so I don't want them to go into that world, I guess, and not grow up with that ability, the ability to pick up a pen and sign your name. I know, people that are in the millennials who are buying houses and don't know how to sign their name. They can't write their signature. They print. And that's just what you do, because that's the society we live. It's the culture we live in. It's all digital, so I want him to learn cursive. Right. That's the thing.
put your X here.
Right. Yeah. And it is. And it's kind of funny because it's almost derisive. It's like, what, you don't know how to sign your name? But no, why would they? Where in their, entire schooling would they have last 20 years of their life or their entire life would they have to know?
It's really sad. Yeah.
In a way,
it's really sad that cursive has gone away.
In a way, but it's like a lot of things. It's just not practical. So, but it's okay. That's a whole subject on its own. But for my oldest,
right.
And this is a thing, but he's getting his learner's permit this year. So for this summer, he gets to learn to drive. So that's, that's cool. Okay. Now he started on the riding mower. He drove the tractor a little bit, but still the clutch and everything on the tractor. The tractor's kind of complicated, but he drives our minivan up and down the driveway. We got a 1/4-mile driveway. So, I don't want to like people he's driving out in the street or whatever, but he has a spot where he has to stop, but we take the rolling trash cans up once a week, and he basically gets the van and opens up the back and just kind of hooks it on like a trailer and drives it up the top. Backs up pretty well.
So what you're saying is he's ready for a 1/4-mile drag.
Yeah. Even with a little curve in it, if he starts to wobble a little bit, he's good. And we'll see, he's kind of excited and kind of nervous, like you would expect. And I told him,
it's a good thing to be. It's better than being super cocky.
Right. And I said, that's what I said. I said, I love you, but if you came at this, like, I can do this, nothing. Yeah, I can drive right now. No, you can't. Nah, you're not scared of it. You need to be scared of it. You need just a little bit of trepidation. It's like, whew, what's this going to do? Then you'll be a much more safe driver before you become a quick driver. So yeah, but that's about it for the individuals, you know. So
that's awesome, man. Sounds like a full summer of stuff. So
yeah,
that'll be exciting to see where it all goes. We'll have to check back at the end of the summer and see how it all
hold me
went.
to it.
Hey, it's all good. You can hold me to mine too.
Yeah. Let me
so for me, so my oldest learned how to ride his bike last year. He's 8 now. He was 7. And the way it worked for him was actually we went camping, and my brother brought a bike so that I didn't have to, which was nice. And my nephews actually worked with him because I had worked with him a little bit, and he seemed very like, I don't want to do this. And so the nephews, who are, you know, his cousins, he loves them. And to the point where, you know, it's like, I'll follow you wherever you go kind of deal. So they basically went 3 Musketeers on him and had a blast. And within minutes, I kid you not, minutes, he's doing circles around the entire campground.
That's awesome.
Like people were like, they're like, where's Hezekiah? I'm like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden you like see him like, oh, he's way over there. You're like, okay, whatever. I mean, he just jumped on, I'm going to go get on my bike. All right, great. And it was for me, it was a flashback of my childhood at the campground too, because it was a campground I grew up at. So, but for him, the thing that I'm really hoping, one, is swimming. Same thing. They love to swim. They love to go into the water, and they're always wearing vests or floaties or whatever. And actually, when we had the pool up in the backyard, it's not very deep, and so like they were swimming under the water. So I mean, like, I don't think it'll take much, honestly. I think it's just sort of that little overcoming of fear. So for both him and my daughter, who's 5, getting them swimming is key. And I used to be a professional lifeguard, so I've been working on them for a couple of years now with it. The other thing with him is that he likes to do, he's got a really creative mind. He's very smart. And he seems to like to write, even though he has this like weird writer's block sometimes. But with the stay-at-home dad, there's a stay-at-home dad writers group on Facebook that one of the guys in the closed group started up a few months ago. And I put in there, hey, like, wouldn't it be cool to have like a writing club for our kids to be able to have a topic, write about it, share with the other kids, and, you know, just kind of give them a chance to connect with other kids around the country type of deal. And I had a few dads who were like, man, I'd love to be a part of that. Like, I'd love to set that up. So that's something that I'm going to basically be working with those guys to do so that he can have that continuation of creative writing for the summer. Because he does have a very good, like, he can tell stories really well. He's a lot like me. He can tell a good story. So that's a big one for my 5-year-old too, like getting her more comfortable with riding a bike, and maybe like getting her going as well. We have a bike trail here in the area, so we all like to jump on there. And I'd love it if she didn't have to have her training wheels so that she could actually hear us when we tell her to stop, because training wheels suck. Like, they're just so loud. I wish they were rubber wheels, like at least that way they don't have that sound when they're riding them. But that's the big things with that. Some other family goals for us is go canoeing as much as possible. We bought a canoe last year. It was a blast. And so I just want to get out on the river more with our family. My other things are to plan a weekend away with my wife. So hopefully that'll happen. We are going to get a double date with Charlie O'Hara and his wife when we go out to Sioux Falls for our trip, which is cool because his parents are going to watch all the kids, theirs and ours, so that we can get a double date night out, which I'm excited about. My kids want to go see baseball, so we're going to get to do that. And they're going to be full capacity when we get back. So that's going to be really exciting to go to a game. And then soccer will also be in full swing. And this was the funny one. I asked my daughter, I said, what do you want to do this summer? And I hadn't shown her anything, any pictures or whatever, which was really funny because I had just sent Charlie O'Hara a picture of Joe Burrow back in Cincinnati after his injury. And Charlie's son is a huge Joe Burrow fan. And I said, hey, Ruby, what do you want to do for this summer? And she was naming off some different things. I'm like, anything else you want to do? And she's like, she was like, I want to see the Bengals. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, I want to see the Bengals. And she was like, and I want a Bengals shirt too. And I was like, okay. And I was looking at things. And when we get back from our trip, Bengals mini camp is in session from like the 15th to the 17th. And I'm like, I've actually never gone.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to allow people in or not. So I'm hoping that they do, since everything's going to be fully open and it's outside. And I mean, they can make it work, I would imagine. But hopefully I get to take them to mini camp. I think that would be really cool for them to get to actually see some of the players. So, but for her to say that, I was really surprised.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we have, or that I have set up. So we'll see how it all plays out.
That's great. That's great. You know, we have really, I've only got maybe 2 family goals for this summer because we're moving. That's one of them. Let's get moved. Let's just, there's just so much to do. And we've lived here for so long. We've got so much just stuff. I've put 15 boxes of books into storage, and just, I mean, we're paring down too. And it's still like, well, if it's a book that I could replace easily, get another one, but these are all, books like just the old books that we have that you can't replace, or books that I like gave Marnie or she gave me when we were dating and engaged. And I'm just like, okay, that's a lot of books, and that's just books. We haven't gotten to really anything else, so there's a lot involved, like anyone would expect. Right.
Oh,
but
yeah.
What I want to do beyond that is we camp, quote unquote, a lot here at home. We've got property. So we literally just walk out the front door and go 100 feet into the woods, and you can still see the house. If you need the bathroom, you can actually have an actual bathroom, that kind of thing. But one of my goals for this year is going to be to take the kids on an actual camping trip where we're maybe, we're packing in food and, sleeping bags and all those things. We're taking everything in with us, and we're taking everything back out when we leave. To get an actual
beautiful areas,
it,
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, there's some beautiful areas up. I mean, Wisconsin and Minnesota. I mean, shoot, that is your oyster.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's so much to do there. I mean, there's so many more parks. There are so many, obviously, especially Minnesota, there's so many more bodies of water. There's so much, so many lakes, land of 2,000.
I would have a blast just going fishing.
A lot of it. And once we get there, we'll definitely, we'll be meeting with the grandparents and spending, the weekend or a week or whatever, on the boat or fishing or on the lake, and it's going to be great. All that's good stuff. But for this year, I want to just make sure that we have a camping trip, just that we all get out, we all go out to an actual, you're going to sleep in the tent all night, and it's going to be dark and scary, and you're going to just stay there this time instead of, getting up at, 11 o'clock and going, Dad, I got to go inside, and you got to walk with me. All right. And when one gets up, the other one gets up, and then the other one gets up, and the teenagers
we're not, there's no house. You're not going anywhere.
We're just staying right here, an actual camping trip.
So
but that's really our big, our only real family goals. I don't have it as a goal yet because I don't know how I'm going to work it out, but I am going to get a weekend away with my wife.
Get there first. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely get a weekend with a wife for sure.
Somehow.
I would say that honestly, I would encourage anybody who's listening to figure out a way to have a weekend with your spouse. Make it happen. Honestly, like, it's important. I can't emphasize more that your marriage is way, way more important than, the relationship that you have with your kids, honestly, in a lot of ways, because in the end, they're going to move away, and it's just going to be you and your spouse. And by golly, I tell you what, you do not want your kids to all be gone and then look over at that person sitting beside you and be like, who are you? Right. And what do we have in common now? Because that is a hill that is much harder to climb if you haven't been connecting the entire time. So that's a whole nother topic I can get on. I can talk for hours about that. But yeah, well, hey, we've kind of come up against the wall on time for this episode. I will say this: anybody who's listening, still, we want to hear from you as far as, like, what are your plans? What are you doing? Do you have things that you're trying to figure out how to overcome? Do you need somebody just to kind of, give you a big, sort of like punch in the arm and be like, hey, you got this? Like, do you need a confidence boost, or do you, what's going on? Like, we want to hear like what your plans are, because we love sharing ours, but we also like hearing what other people are doing as well. So hit us up and let us know. Also too, if you haven't listened to the Star Wars episode, we still don't have a winner. So I've still got that going on. So yeah, that's the other thing. So check out that episode, answer the question, because I'd love to be able to give these action figures to somebody before my kids try to take them out of the boxes.
And just Art, in case you hear or anybody else just wants you to know, we have made sure that Brock has not opened them. He is actually making sure to check calls. I'm double checking him to make sure there are no calls. Nobody's got the right answer yet. So keep it coming. It's not just him like, oh, that wasn't the right answer. I got to keep him. So keep an eye on him.
Got it. All right. Well, hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Home Dad Chat, and we will talk to you next week.
Yep. Good night.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.